Sensitivity is intelligence. With grace and skill, you have abundance. Welcome to the Psychic Hour. Host Kelly Brickle is a psychic medium, numerologist, healer, and teacher. Her passions are learning about the soul and energy. Whether through spirit, emotion, or vibrational numbers, there is always a pathway of information waiting to help. Now, here is your host of the Psychic Hour, Kelly Brickle.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Hi, Colin.
Hi, Kelly.
Welcome. Welcome back again. We are continuing a conscious discussion of the frequencies and energies that are present with us right now.
Yeah.
And it's a lot.
It is a lot. And it's coming in from all directions.
It really is. I agree. There's been an eclipse, 2 eclipses in the past couple of weeks. There's been a major planetary alignment, and they were talking about, 6 planets. It was actually 7 Plutos in the mix because they don't consider Pluto a planet anymore. It's crazy. I want to talk about. I'm like, I have to Pluto. Tell everybody about Pluto. But just a lot of energy.
That's quite selective, leaving Pluto out.
Yeah, they consider it. Oh gosh, I should know that. All of a sudden it flew out of my head, but it's too small to be a planet. So it is considered an asteroid. I could be wrong on that, but yeah, no, they don't consider Pluto a planet anymore, and they haven't for like 3 years or longer.
Yes, yeah, I remember. Yeah. Is Pluto bigger than the Earth? Was the Earth bigger than the Earth? Do you know?
I think that's a great question. You're making me want to Google it right now because I honestly don't know.
Let's have a look.
I would imagine it has to be smaller, but I think it's bigger.
If classing Pluto as a what? A meteorite or a asteroid or what? And it's bigger than the Earth.
It has to, right. I was going to say it has to be smaller than the Earth, but it seems bigger. But it's apparently it is 1/5 the diameter of Earth, and it is 2/3, like 67%, the size of our moon, and 20% the size of Earth's mass. So it's quite smaller. I didn't realize that, but
like a snooker ball.
Still, it's a significant part of our solar system.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. They're playing again.
They're playing again?
They're playing again, like they do. They like to play and entertain the minds, don't they?
Well, I do think archetypically Pluto accounts for some pretty heavy energy. So it's strange that it's out of the scientific, I guess, sphere. It has such strong archetypes within our culture because we come from so much shaping of Greek and Roman mythology and Western history and Western philosophy. So Pluto is about transformation, regeneration, death, other concepts. So it represents something pretty huge, and it's been with us for a long time. But yeah, that's just my spiel on things. They didn't even acknowledge Pluto because it's not a planet anymore.
So they dismissed one of the ancient gods at the same time, then? Yeah.
A depiction of one of the heavenly bodies. So there's a lot of theories on what the planets are, but they do think it is a significant representation or actuality of energy. So like they're batteries in the sky, in the universe. or they are connected to portals of energy.
Yeah.
Right. So they're pretty significant in any category you put them in. So yeah, Pluto. Wow, I could talk about Pluto.
Could be just cosmic billiards.
Yeah. Planets could be cosmic beings, or they're connected, like it's a portal to a cosmic being.
Yeah.
A lot of people talk about like philosophy of what is happening with the planets, and I think they beam codes. I don't know where the codes come from. I don't know if they come from the planet themselves, or if the planet is like a portal, or the planet is a battery gathering. I don't know, but I do think the planets beam codes within the universe, and the planets play off of one another. Yeah. And so the codes give complexity to what we share within the universe. But, that's like, people sharing, the melding of the minds, as well as these heavenly bodies sharing complexity of their unique symphony.
Yeah. Interesting stuff.
Interesting stuff. I'm just like, how does it tickle your fancy, Colin? What does it spark within you?
Well, I think everything's empty, so I don't think it really exists.
Okay. Yeah, see, that's what I wanted to know. How does it strike you?
It's like everything. They're an appearance to our mind. On one, conventionally speaking, we see them and we perceive them in a physical form and as a round, solid object. And yet, from another frequency of awareness, we can see them as energies, and another frequency we can see them as they actually don't exist. They're an appearance to our mind. Which then, that's kind of the interesting one for me. Because I think we're going to that point where by perceiving things in a physical form, we're keeping ourselves down on dense frequencies of density, not negative, densities. And by doing that, we're placing limitations on ourselves. But then when we move our mind through meditation, etc., and expansion, we shift to a new location in the spiral of our own awareness. And that then helps us perceive differently. And you go, oh, okay, then. Reality is not what I thought it was.
That's very true.
So,
what do you think then? Like Earth is a huge gathering of frequency, and the planets are in their own way too. They're just massive entanglements of frequency.
Yes, totally agree. Yeah, that one.
When
I'm just going to say, do you mind if I say hello to everybody?
Yeah, please. Hello, Jennifer. Both Jennifers, Jennifer Rose, Jennifer McCormick, Evelyn, Krish, Kim's in the house, Dominic, Michael Christopher, Christine. Oh, go ahead, please.
Oh, hi, Bernadette, Stacey. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Kim, Karen. I saw Michael was here. Circle. What did he say about? Said something about Circle.
We were in Circle last night, and he's asking if I recovered. He's being cheeky because we were all tired.
I was curious because I've just literally come off a Circle before I stepped on here and thought, how does he know I've been on a Circle? Hi, Michael. Yeah. Nice to see you anyway.
It's just very relevant.
Jennifer Rose. Hi, Jennifer. Thank you, Jennifer, for last night. I'm not going to tell you what happened, not in public anyway. Kellyanne, hi. Thank you so much. And I hope Michael's in, a big apology. So if he jumps on, Michael, I apologize.
If Michael's in the house, sometimes he comes in. Did you see his name?
No, I haven't seen him.
Okay. But we love you, Colin.
And Miguel. Hi, Miguel. Nice to see you so soon. Natasha, Nina, Dolores. Anyway, thank you everybody for joining us. I love it. Thanks, Kelly. So the massive, swirling, massive. I think my understanding is this. Clearly now we know, most people who come on these sites, we all know everything is energy. So that's kind of like the initial stage after the understanding the solid state of matter, what we perceive as a physical body, table, cars, buildings, etc. My understanding is that we're now searching inside that energy. We're kind of moving into understanding what type of energy reality actually is. So as far as, let's say, the physical body, the mind has genuinely perceived it as this solid state. Now the question is starting to come, does the physical body actually exist? Do we have a physical body? Is it actually physical? We can say the physical body is just simply a name or term, what's been given this form. We know when we meditate, again, once we meditate, we're moving our mind, and we're moving our mind on a spiral of truth, so to speak, to a different location on a spiral. And from that location, we perceive reality different. And through meditation, we can understand that the physical body is a mass of energy. And we're just telling ourselves that it's a physical body. I think once we get to the point where we no longer perceive the body as a physical form, we're actually taking a big leap in evolution at that moment, individually and collectively. It's almost as if we've got to start seeing the physical world different, or the opportunity to perceive it differently is now here. And by perceiving it differently, we're seeing a greater truth to it, if that makes sense. So we know the physical body is particles, atoms, etc. It's like, okay, let's perceive it that way then. Let's look at it as particles and atoms rather than this kind of solid looking form. And once we start looking at it through a new perspective, we're then opening up to the other bodies of who we actually are. Those other form, if we call them forms, those other form-like appearances of our, what we can call other bodies, but in fact not other bodies, they're just merely frequencies of our own awareness, if that makes sense.
Sure. It's kind of hard sometimes, or easy, to figure out what kind of discussion we want in consciousness, because we are creators of our life, and it's way more complicated than us, perceiving this reality. This is not it. It is only a piece of it, and it was designed by us because we've co-created to be here. Beyond what started the co-creations of a place like this, like, sure, it's like, why are we here? Why did we choose here? Why did we come together? What balled us up to get to Earth and our solar system and the universe as we know it? Like, what happened to get us here? But you have to acknowledge too that we've chosen to be here, so Earth and physicality and the physical state of matter has a lot of significance. And the only way you're able to hear me right now, Colin, in this form is through the physicality of my voice box and my throat and people's ears, right? And all the wonderful people with us. So it's exceptionally extraordinary, even though it's insignificant on the grand scale. And it's just like, what the heck is all of this?
Yeah. It's the vehicle, isn't it? We've created a vehicle to move around this plane of existence. This might surprise some people, but I think I think humanity is too grounded, way too grounded. And when I say that, there is a degree of caution because, energetically, we need to be Earth with what we call the planet. And I get that. But as far as being too grounded and overly grounded, what happens is by saying we must be grounded, what we're doing is we're lowering our vibration of consciousness. And in that, we are becoming too dense. We're lowering it to a density which then can be constrictive. It can draw the mind in. Now, there's a bit of a paradigm going on here with this, because in one respect, we want to be elevated and ascended and expansive. The only reason we want to be that is so that we can draw the light into this plane of existence. We're bringing the light into it as we understand. Sounds like a noble cause, but I don't know which better way to kind of describe it. Being present is more what I'm looking for. But if we get overly grounded, we know our mind drops down. And if it drops down in a untrained manner, then we can get drawn into what we call the material energies and frequencies and vibrations. Then we become distracted from the purpose of why we're here. So for me, we've got to be very kind of mindful of, yes, we've got to be here, but it's to bring the light in. So we've constantly got to generate that light, tap into the light, attune with it, align into the light, etc., to what can be deemed as the higher vibrations from the source, from the spirit world, from the cosmos, all these wonderful cosmic dimensions, and be it in this present moment as much as we can. Then we can say, okay, so we've got earthly conditions which we've got to consider. Family, children, house, etc. Of course we have. But the question is, how do we focus on the light and simultaneously cohabitate upon this plane, what we deem and call the air?
Well,
if this makes sense.
Well, I think you have to acknowledge what you've been given divinely, rather what you've been given materially, or given by your parents, or given by your friends, or given by your environment or circumstance, whether it's good or bad. You're given a body, a vessel, and that's yours, even though maybe, right, your parents, or the people who brought you into the world with their biological mechanisms, that's yours, and you get to program that to whatever precision you can, whatever consciously you can do with it. That is yours, even though sometimes it doesn't feel like ours, our vessel, our body. Sometimes we're just like, I don't feel like this is real, right? But this is the only thing that ties us to the material world. Like we have physical senses. We have way more senses than physical senses. We're so much more than this, but the physical senses are so visceral, and they are our lens. They are how we experience around us. So I think that it is really important to take what is ours and has been given to us through some type of, you could say, divine choice, divine contract, whatever it is, you've chosen to be there, and you're there. We're here, right? And we make the best of that. And if it is in service with our vessel, if it's our energy and our body are aligned, if things are congruent and integrated, usually very beautiful energy comes forth, and we are thus healthy. We are thus in joy. We are thus in, synchronicity to a lot of other things that start popping up around us. But I know that if I don't mind my physical body, it's like my spiritual gifts, they can't really do the full effect here because I have to use my vessel to play full effect here. You know,
Yeah.
I have to acknowledge this part of me because I'm here now to go, all right, this is my vehicle. So,
Yeah.
you know, utilize the frequency of heaven on earth. We are much more than earth. I don't think we should ever start from a place of earth, but we have to actually cultivate energy to bring it down because we've chosen to be here. So I do think earth should be taken seriously because we are affecting, creating, bringing forth consciousness, bringing forth energy that we can't do anywhere else. And that's why we've chosen this playing ground, this atmosphere, this landscape. But it has to mean something, right? And it can't be like, well, you know, the United States is important because we stand for this. Russia's great because they stand for that. You know, UK is amazing because we've done this. It's just like, why are we here? Why are we here? Like, it supersedes what's come before us and where we think we're going. Just why are we here?
Yeah. Good question. And why is consciousness present? Well, the question is.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Kelly. It's like, of course, I agree with you. I think one of the early stages of development is the acceptance. No, is the rejection of the physical body by a lot of minds. I'm not comfortable with my physical body. It's telling us something. It's telling us there's something more about the physical body for me. And that's one stage. And then we get to the point where we have this acceptance of the physical body because we found some kind of, or some degree of acceptance about ourselves within our consciousness. And that then permeates into the physical body. And it reflects it. We see it. Some people are comfortable in the body, some people are not. And we see this, we talk to people, we hear it. And then we move to that next stage where, as you've just beautifully described, bringing consciousness, bringing the light into the body. And we know the more the consciousness is clear or has a greater clarity, our senses are profoundly heightened. Smell, touch, taste, etc. So the vehicle is there for a specific reason. Almost, you can say, I don't like using the word, but it almost anchors us or anchors our soul or an aspect or part of our soul in this area of the cosmos for whatever reason that may be. I happen to think the reason being is so light can be present in this part of the cosmos. So they're all intertwined. And then the question is, where is consciousness in all of this? Where is consciousness in the body? What is consciousness? Where does it come from? You know, there's so many aspects and questions regarding consciousness. And then when we place consciousness, not at the fore of our thinking, because we're trying to understand, and especially at this moment in the evolution, because there's such a great shift, and consciousness is playing such a huge role in it. So it opens up this whole vast space of, okay, what's happening with consciousness? And is there a difference between consciousness and awareness? Are they two separate things?
Yeah.
You know, so it's like it opens up. But the initial thing is, what effect does our consciousness have on our physical body? And at that point, our etheric body, our astral body, our soul body, etc., all these other vibrating forms, what make us up as an individual soul, and this expansiveness. And from that, then we start looking at the collective side of nature itself. Are we more connected in a collective sense than what we actually recognize or give respect to because of the I and because of the individual aspect?
Oh, absolutely. And I think everybody needs a certain amount of, when it comes to being on Earth, everybody has a different type of body, and then spiritually everybody has a different type of experience. So we all have these different frequencies and skills, and we can draw upon that. And we have, I think, unique energy reserves, whether something goes well for us or not, where we just can pull energy from regardless. And then there's these new parts of us that are coming to being when we don't have the right mix of what we need for that moment, and we don't have any prior experience of that unique moment or something like that. Something can cause us to go into a tailspin, whether we did not have enough bioenergy, like we got sick and, maybe we, get laid out in bed for a week, right? Another person, they just have a really strong immune system, or their body is really nimble with, I guess, who knows, like dodging the virus. I don't know, but for whatever reason, their body could be flexible with that energy, so it didn't affect them. And I know, so Michael Christopher referenced like, hey, like, did you recover from Circle last night? It's been kind of funny because we were all tired, and yesterday I wasn't feeling good, and I was like feeling really kind of dizzy, and my mind was very difficult to center. And, like that was because hormonally something was going on with me. So I was like, oh my God, I just need a moment. My body is not finding its equilibrium. So I literally stayed in bed, did some work, but stayed in bed most of the day. I wasn't hungry. I wasn't even thirsty. It was like my physical body just was not online. And I felt but I didn't feel in alignment. I didn't feel strong. I felt very depleted. And then I was just like, I really need to go to Circle. So I went to Circle to help pull everybody together for community, because we were like, let's just do it. Yeah. And I got a very little piece of food in me. My blood sugar was low because I was running around trying to make Circle. And when I showed up, I was like, oh, okay, well, I opened my mind for more, but I was just like, oh, this is going to be difficult because I'm really kind of dizzy and my mind is not focused, and we're practicing mediumship. So we got things off the ground, and it was a great Circle, but I could feel very inhibited. So it's like, for me to even be an effective medium, and that's like subtle energy. It's not even online if I don't take care of my physical body.
Correct.
But so I can't even do my purpose. I can't even do my purpose if my will's there, if I'm not taking care of my physical body.
Yeah. This is a classic.
But, it's not very good.
Oh, okay.
The connection's not strong.
Correct. This is a classic. I think you just raised a very important aspect, which is very relevant in this precise moment on the planet, Kelly, which is the need to be vigilant to keep our tanks topped up. I think it's so, we know Spirit's been warning about this for many, many years. Prepare, protect your mind, etc. There's been a handful of basic stuff which has been constant and consistent with Spirit, because obviously they see this time approaching, what we're in at the minute, where the shift, I'm referencing this shift of energy, or shift of human consciousness, and that sense of vigilance is so important at the minute, that we must keep our tanks topped up. It's imperative. Otherwise, we know the consequence. We're starting to see the consequences. Our energy is going to drop. We're going to lose that alignment. We're going to lose the clarity. And then we're going in a circle, and it's like, oh, if washing all over the place, if he, and etc. But that's a natural process of evolution anyway. So, it's not as if, well, we'll leave it at that. We know we're evolving to a point. The other aspect, though, is we know the cosmic waves are having such a profound effect upon us and our energies at this time, such a profound effect. So put that with the global effects, then, you know, we've got a bit of a mix going on here. We're changing, our energy is changing, and not just the physical, but we know the rest of the forms we have, they're undergoing a process of change to bring that alignment, that new aligning to the light kind of concept in. And at the same time, there's a massive dense energies circulating the planet at the moment, which is throwing a lot of people off. And then, of course, you've got the cosmic waves constantly washing in, sweeping through the auric field. And there's awakenings, there's chaos, there's everything is going on. The list is endless, and we know, you know, a lot of people here know about that at the minute. For me, it's imperative and important. And the signal, what I keep getting from Spirit is, there'll be moments, it's funny, there'll be moments when the messages will be sharper, trance will be clearer, or the channeling will be clearer, and there'll be times when it won't. And it'll be because of certain factors. Sure. And once we understand those factors and we start relating those factors to the moment we're in, whether it's in a circle trying to give a message or give a link, get a link going, and a connection with Spirit, or whether it's deepening our chance, etc., etc., there's factors playing out. And I think we're at that pinnacle, or we're approaching that pinnacle moment where more and more people are starting to understand, okay, I'm not feeling too good. I've got to make, if I'm going to do some mediumship, I've got to make extra effort because these energies are in at this moment. And I've got to move my mind in a stronger sense or stronger fashion. Previously, that wasn't the case. A lot of people are going, what's happening? They don't understand what's happening in the mediumship. Why isn't that happening? Why is that taking place? Because in the periphery, with respect, they didn't have that awareness of what was going on in the periphery of their field of energy. But the more we keep getting this information, and the more we keep sharing the information, collectively, we all benefit from it. And we go, okay, we know it's energies, what type of energies? Okay, this is happening during this particular time. This is happening during this particular, right, pull that together, right. So I'm going to move my mind to a different location. And I think that's where we come back to what I call the spiral of truth. If we imagine ourselves as this spiral, energetic spiral, or a multitude of them, but in this case, one singular spiral, and our consciousness is moving around the spiral. It's not a circle. I'm almost getting to the point where I actually don't believe that there was ever a circle of life. I think it's always been a spiral, a massive spiral. So there's never been this going round, you know, you go around in circles, go around, so it's like, no, we don't. We're either moving up the spiral or we're lowering ourselves back down for whatever reason in any given moment with the circumstances and what's going on with the conditions in our life in that moment. But we get to choose. We get to choose whether we continue to move up the cycle, the spiral. And once we take a step from one point and location on the spiral to the next one, we've shifted the frequency of our consciousness. We've shifted to a new frequency of awareness. We can think of the spiral as the spiral of awareness, cosmic awareness. And that, when we start perceiving it in that respect, it changes the game almost completely. Okay, where am I today on the spiral, on my spiral of energy? We know when we step out of the spiral, we're in trouble. We've been distracted by the external, and we'll start suffering as a result of it. So it's like, okay, bring ourselves back to the spiral, into our own sense of peace. That's where our alignment is working best on our behalf, and therefore best for others in helping cherish or being of service to us. So it's kind of this interesting concept of this cosmic spiral of energy and just infinite number of them. And our consciousness is moving in different locations on the spiral of our own truth. Just thought I'd throw that in.
I do think like our energy is constantly changing and it's ascending. So right, we're at a different place with our energy and what we can do with it, further down the spiral. And I do think external things, right, like you mentioned, it takes us off that place of flow and that place of transformation, um, interconnectivity, and even connectivity to the outer world in a way where we can just exist.
Yeah.
When we get knocked off our path, like we are distracted, we are all of a sudden scattered, or maybe we're sick, we are overwhelmed, we're in habits that don't serve the divinity, the flow of our natural nature. And a lot of people, I think, experience that on a daily basis. And so, yeah, like Colin, you were talking about, do not go to the physical and expect, the answers to be there. And don't be concerned with what's going on with the world and say, we really got to figure it out, because it's not about the world. It's about our journey. And we just happen to be here. This is one of the stops, or this is, the entanglement of where we just are right now on the spiral.
Yeah,
it's not
definitely.
It's not, I think, like, the present moment is where all the power is.
Yeah.
And we have way more ability to change reality than we give ourselves credit for. Sure, like reality is something we all experience, and there's been some very big decisions in the world that we think we're powerless to, but that's not the only place reality exists. Like, it's not. And we are time jumpers, we are dimension jumpers. Like, we can do way more than we realize with bringing peace to ourselves and people around us, and people halfway across the world. We can send them love and light and good energy, but like, our energy is not with them, because our spiritual mission is usually right in front of us playing out. We can send energy over there, and if we're called, then it comes closer to us, and we come closer to it, and then we're part of that part of the world. We're part of that story now, and that has always been a part of us, and that's relevant, and that's beautiful. But like, we're not powerless. We get to bring reality to us, as well as go where we're called within it, not just, oh my gosh, this world is horrible, and I have hands up.
Some people won't like this, but what's happening in the world is our responsibility. We've created it. We've created it. In fact, to a degree, we're actually the culprits of its cause.
Sure.
Because what we've done is we've chose to bring light into this plane of existence, this location of the cosmos. And in that endeavor, we've gone on a mission to shine our light, to cleanse, purify, clear the old, dense aspects within our field of energy, not just the auric field and the physical body, the whole field of energy, and transform that old energy. Sorry, I need to go. And transform that old energy, which is a multitude of many different things, from previous lifetimes to 2 minutes ago. But transform it is what we've been doing. And in that process of transformation, we're enacting the mission. We're shining the light. The light then is having an effect. And the effect from the light shining in the world is what we're seeing play out in the world, which we may deem to be of a negative nature. Now, clearly we can say it's of a negative nature because we don't wish to see anybody suffering. And I'm the first. We know we carry in the pain of the collective as individuals and the collective way. The interesting part, and something what you touched on, Kelly, the power of our light, and I'm hesitant to use the word power because it's got other connotations, negative connotations, which I never want to refer to. But the power of the light of who and what we individually and collectively are, when that light is emitting, radiating, so to speak, we don't need to send love out. That love will reach where it needs to be because the power of the light is radiating that far. It will encompass that place where the light and love is needed, and we no longer need to send it out. In fact, sometimes when we're sending love out, that can actually have an adverse effect. But there's layers to get to the point of truth to understand and explain that. But sometimes sending our thoughts out can have a negative impact, even though our intentions may be pure. So it brings us back to the center point of self, which we know doesn't exist, but we use the word, brings us back to the center point and says, okay, how can I best be of service? By looking after this, by topping our tanks up, by transforming as much energy internally as we possibly can, because the intention is not for us, it's for others. So therefore, then it's not a selfish act, what we're doing. It's an unselfish, altruistic act. Now, and I'm trying to say that as humbly as I possibly can, because some people can perceive that as egotistical, and it's not. It's the intention is, and it's not always about intention. Intention can get in the way. Often intention, or my intention, like just be it, just be. You know, there's no intention in being. You know, so we're kind of we're pushing the barriers now of the knowledge, not just of centuries old or modern times. We're now pushing the boundaries of the spiritual mindset, if that makes sense. It's like we can go beyond what we already recently have understood and found to be true. Anyway, I'll be quiet.
No, yeah, hey, whatever is floating your boat. I do think it comes back to us because we can't control anyone, nor do we want to control anybody. And the more, like you mentioned, filling our cup, topping ourselves off, filling our tank, you know, the more we'll be of service, or the more we can transform and let that energy overflow. Like, you know, thy cup run, you know, it's full and overflows, and that energy pours out and helps others just by nature of your own flow, like your own love, your own alignment. It's true, like, and just the concept, like, of what we know in science with meditation, when people come together within meditation and they either just meditate in the space that they're in, the surrounding crime rates go down because they're just sharing that energy. They're just sharing that energy, and it's dissolving the conflict that is there with that energy of, you know, stillness, of inner peace, and it's sending that out, and people are holding onto it whether they know it or not, and they are less programmed to just, you know, do the physical thing right in front of them, or the reaction, or whatever they've gathered up prior. So, like, you know, it really is up to us how we can share the energy with the world, and we can dissolve things right next to us, I think, in great effect a lot, just because of the physical nature of things with the way the body runs and the way the energy is shared, but also millions of miles away, thousands of miles away. And who knows, you know, what that lends itself to the universe. Because people can feel things on different planets. People can feel things that are nowhere near us and say, hey, I think I had a past life here. Hey, I think there was a beacon of a message. Hey, I think my guides are from the star system. We are so deeply interconnected. As long as we take care of ourselves, things are going to get better. And as long as we're enacting our purpose, and it doesn't have to be a magical, oh, I found my purpose. You're living within your truth, and you're saying, I feel good when I do this. A part of me is coming alive. A part of me is opening. Energy is opening.
Kelly, I totally agree with you. It's like, I often think some of the most important positive actions are taking place in places unseen and by souls never heard of. In the background, so to speak. They're not even in the background, they're even deeper and further than that. Because they're simply being. They're attaining some kind of profound cosmic realization within themselves and simply being present. It's that classic case, isn't it? We don't know who we're in front of at any one given time. We don't know who may be passing in the street. We don't know who that person is, what their capacity and capability is on many levels, but specifically on spiritual vibration, frequency. We don't need to shout, from the rooftops as such of our capabilities. What's most important is having that constant sense of cosmic awareness, because in that cosmic awareness there's a presence of acceptance which can be constant regarding all things. And I think humanity is very close to getting to that point, collectively, individually, obviously. We've done the classic. We've filled ourselves up when we've been emptying every day. We've been attached instead of detached. Attachment is a cause of suffering. So then there's a struggle to detach from that attachment. And there's pain in that, when we could say non-attachment. And when I say non-attachment and when I say detachment, I mean it in its warmest form, in its most profound, loving way. Because ironically, the more detached the soul becomes, it's actually more intricately woven into everything. It's just not allowing itself to be governed and controlled, and yet it's in total harmony with all things. So there's so many kind of strands, if you like. I want to use it because it came up in the circle earlier. Strands of life, what we're kind of blending with, piecing together, tying, weaving, etc. In this intricate web of the cosmic reality, what we are. So acceptance is a phenomenal player in all of it. A phenomenal, and it runs so deep. Of course, there's different frequencies to acceptance, and there's different frequencies to everything, but acceptance is a big player at the moment for humanity. We can just, I'm not even going to go into any of the other aspects. I just want to say hello to everybody again. Tanya, hi Tanya, hello Marie. I see you was waving to people as I was coming on. It's like, oh.
I say hello to Karen, Bonafilio, hello.
Hi Karen. Lovely to have you with us. Benno,
Lydia, Liliana, Mish was here earlier.
Argentina,
Ali,
Liliana.
Irene, Kimberly, hello, and then Rose, hello, and Allison.
Lydia. Oh, hi, Lydia.
So people who are coming on in, and please, like, hi, Rose. If you have some experiences with how you've been trying to figure out, like, what makes your soul present, powerful, flexible, understanding, conscious, whatever word you'd like to use, as we're kind of moving past these perennials, with their oh gosh, there was a word that I was going to say and it just flooded my head. Like these perennials and their permanence. There you go. And their permanence.
Impermanence.
Just let us know, like, with your side of things, of how you've solved part of the puzzle, or how it impresses upon you. Benno makes a comment. I've been given an abstract message from our friends, which hints as time being a 3D spiral mathematically aligned with the golden ratio. I only know a little bit about the golden ratio. I know about it being that which highlights symmetry and patterns of building, like within creation. Nature shows like that code.
Fibonacci, I think.
And leaves within shells. Yeah. It's something that shows Go ahead, Colin.
Basically, it's the spiral. It is what it is. It's a spiral of energy, and it forms substances, if you like, from vegetables to building, anything. You can use it for nature. Nature continuously forms it. It's interesting what Benno said about hints at time being a 3D spiral mathematically aligned to the golden ratio. The interesting thing about time, well, for me, fascinates me, is it's a frequency which we have to slow our conscious mind down to the same frequency in order to make sense of everything. So, if that makes sense. So time really, we know, okay, in effect, time is part of the 3D reality. And we know the dimensions are waves or planes, frequencies of energy. So then we go, okay, we've got 3D, it's relative to time, or time is relative, cycles, etc., moon phases, and so on. But if it's of a 3D frequency, and we know there's a multitude more frequencies, then what we've done is we've lowered our frequency of consciousness to attune to time in order to make sense of this environment where our consciousness is existing in. We know as soon as we meditate, we're shifting our consciousness again on the spiral, ascending. So we're moving our consciousness upon the spiral. That's raising our the frequency, or we're moving our consciousness from one frequency to another frequency on the spiral, and therefore we've moved beyond time. And that's why when we meditate, within moments, time no longer exists, and it's not in our periphery, because we've literally gone into the initial altered state of awareness. And the altered state of awareness, again, there's many frequencies to altered state of consciousness and awareness. But we're shifted. As soon as we shift our mind, we're gone into an altered state, we've moved to a new frequency, and that's taken us beyond the 3D sense of time and what we understand in this world. So in effect, we're slowing our consciousness down to understand the environment we're in. As soon as we come out of it, boom. Like for many years, people used to say, there's no time in spirit. It's totally correct. There's no time in meditation.
Yeah.
Because we've shifted our consciousness just that one step and we're away from the 3D reality. Interesting, Benno.
With 3D understanding, I do think that the golden ratio is, a very, very important place to showcase there's intelligence in the universe, and there are patterns of consciousness present where we can follow the breadcrumbs and unlock other things about ourselves. So I do think it's a beautiful, beautiful symbol. I mean, the golden ratio is what creates the shape of a spiral. So like rock on, right? So it does make sense. It's a 3D shape, or sometimes a 2D, depending on the spiral. But like going forward with people talking about 3D, 4D, 5D, it's really opened up the conscious space for me to understand, like, we are multidimensional beings. And yeah, time doesn't exist when, how can I put this? So Colin was talking about raising the vibration from 3D to other states of consciousness. And the you could say concepts like the universe or God with its intelligence or whatever you believe in, right? They are on a much more complicated dimensional realm, or the consciousness of all that is the full collection of all reality in all dimensions. So we're only 3D, and that is infinity D, right? or we'll think about it like a million D or billion D, right? We'll just try to compress it a little bit. So just imagine like a shape just collapsing on itself just to fold and fit into the 3D experience. Like time just does not exist, only in that 3D sphere, like for what it is, for that little pocket of present moment. And it gets really trippy like that. So we're experiencing this like really small facet of ourselves at this point in time. And we're just like, okay, we're here. What are we doing with this? But we are so much more than the 3D. It's crazy. It's mind-boggling. It really is.
It is, Kelly. So, yeah, I love how you just described that as well. Interesting enough, two aspects. I'll chuck the funny one in first. If time is connected to the 3D and does not exist outside of the 3D, how on earth can anybody shift through different timelines?
I do think that things maybe close to time exist. I think like once you get out of 3D, or I don't know about 4D, I don't know how close that is to, but I think the further you get away from 3D, like time doesn't exist, or it completely changes. And that's true what they're just seeing within science, like space and time is linked to the fourth dimension. And when you start working with that, the laws are different with how it shows up for you and me and how we experience it.
Yeah. So it's just something which kind of I've got to be careful here. I find relatively kind of humorous in a nice way, hopefully, when I hear people talking about shifting through time and time shifting and tripping through timelines and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, because I think what they're actually saying, and I could be wrong, my understanding is, they're not moving from one timeline to another. In effect, what they're doing is moving their consciousness, their conscious mind, from one frequency to another, which is totally different from the word time and timeline. And this is why it's been so important to understand and study energies. And when we're talking about wavelengths, frequencies, and vibrations, and we enter into them and begin to embody them, that everything starts to appear different. Everything. Because then we start going, okay, that belongs to that frequency. If we're analysing it, if we're looking at something or observing or expressing or experiencing whatever that is, it can always be deduced to a frequency. And from that frequency, we can then match it to the wavelength and the vibration, including our emotions, including our thoughts. So time, when it comes to time and timeline, I could be totally wrong, but my understanding from the little knowledge I have on wavelength frequencies and vibrations is once we've gone beyond the fourth dimension, forget it, time. We've had meditations where you can ascend your consciousness and boom, time clearly doesn't exist.
Well,
because it's a phenomenal space.
Do you believe, Colin, like it could just be different? It could just be different mechanisms. It could be something completely different with time. It could be something like time. It could be just a completely different rule of reality. Right? And I do think, and with timelines, they could maybe not exist. They could exist, and it could just be a frequency thing, or the frequency could be a recipe with what makes that timeline, or the timeline is irrelevant to the frequency. So we're talking about these could be actually legitimate parts in other realities and dimensions, or the rules are completely different.
Yeah, I'm just going to reach up and get something.
Sure.
It's true.
You're going to get a wizard hat or something.
No, I'd like to hold that's what Mish has put, because it's caught my attention.
Oh, cool.
Because if I can find it, I'm just looking. Sorry about this.
Time
because I'm really
spelled backwards is emit. I love things like that.
Okay, that's all right. It's so interesting. Sorry for the slight delay.
No, it's okay. So Colin's finding something right now. So I'm going to say hello to Mish again, Michelle. I'm going to say hello to Julia. Hello. Come on into the conversation. Please share what's on your mind. Mish says, I think it's interesting. We need time to admit our energies. I don't know. LOL. Relevant statement. Hello, Charlene.
I'm holding you up. I'm sorry. Nearly found it.
I do think it's important to take things apart and understand, like, oh, why did we choose this word? What does this word mean? It helps us learn about ourselves and the vehicle of language that we've chosen. Did you find what you were looking for?
No, not quite, because I love what he just said, or what sorry, I don't know if it's male or female, Mish. Time spelled backwards is emit. I had that about 20, 30 years ago. And it's the first time I've seen anybody actually put it out there. That's why it stopped me in my tracks. Because it's obvious that's what we're doing. We're emitting energy. So absolutely, Mish, absolutely 100%. We're emitting energy, which is beyond time. So you see how they've played with words. When we emit, we expand. When we use the word time, we contract, we're contained. So there's a lot of implications going on with them two words and the direction, if you like, what they're facing. Boom, Mish. Absolutely amazing.
I love that.
When we emit, we're all expansive. We just continuously admit. You reverse it to time, everything slows down and contracts. And that can have so much damage on us. So it's like, okay, thank goodness time only belongs to the third or fourth dimension and not more. Otherwise, it'd be like walking through treacle throughout the whole of our evolution. Whereas now we know we can take our conscious mind into those other cosmic frequencies, so to speak, and start to begin to look at and experience the cosmic energies of who we truly are, way, way, way beyond time and the frequency of it. So the collective aspect at the minute, which I wanted to put in, Kelly, is my understanding is we're moving now, we're kind of tripping, if we use that word, trip like fantastic. We're moving to a new spectrum of reality. We've been in a spectrum of reality where we have each associated with each other through thoughts and emotion, empaths to it. You know, I understand, I feel how you feel. Okay, well, obviously we can all do this because we're sentient beings, so we're sensing everything. And the reason why that's been possible is because we've entered into a space where there's been a specific frequencies of wavelengths, wavebands. That means we've been existing within a certain cosmic spectrum. Now with the awakening and the shifting, we're opening up now into that next spectrum of frequencies of cosmic awareness. And immediately, as soon as we do that, we go, okay, I'm feeling the expansiveness. I'm moving beyond this reality, which I've always understood, for whatever reason, and rightly so. However, it tells us there's going to be a multitude of all the spectrums of realities. And this is where it starts to get a little bit, if you want to enjoy it, it starts getting mind-blowing. And it's all connected to the cosmos and what may or may not be beyond the cosmos. And when I say cosmos, I perceive that as the whole. You know, that's how I use it, rather than describe the whole or everything beyond, because it gets complicated. Language is failing us sometimes. And this is interesting because the more we push the barriers and drop our limits, self-imposed limitations, and become the frequencies of energy which we know we actually are, rather than thinking of them, we start to embody them. Then we're going with the flow of the cosmos properly. Then, sorry.
May I ask too, because like one part of this, and I want to go to Kim's question in just a minute. One part of this is like, how can I put this? On one spectrum of thought, we're coming into knowing who we are, evolving and expanding, remembering, getting back to the true course of what we need to look into to call back our power and who we are. Maybe there's that, line of thinking. But then there's another part where it's like, conceptually, like we chose to forget and just to experience life in this more constricted way to teach us something that we could not possibly know or begin to connect to if we had the vast expansion of the universe at our fingertips or coursing through us. So on one end, it's like expand past, the limitations. On the other hand, it's kind of like be present with where you are because there's a reason for it. So I think it's both.
Yeah. It's all things. I totally agree, Clay. I think it's we can include those what you've spoken about, but the most important one is the present. I don't believe for 1 minute we are going back to the past. I almost find that absolutely ridiculous to think that we're going to be doing that. In fact, it's got certain connotations. And I've got to be very careful here because it's almost revealing ignorance in a mind what thinks that. Because it's yearning, there's an insecurity, a mental and emotional insecurity within that mind of a yearning to go back to those previous times.
How about, but I'm not looking at it in a past, present, future. I'm looking at it as in the present of what we are, let's explore an aspect of this dimension that we
That's
have.
where I'm coming to. Yeah, that's the part I'm coming to. Yeah,
Okay,
because
sorry. Go
yeah,
ahead.
sorry. Yeah, I'm going. Yeah, I'm riding a bike. I'm going to sit and read.
Okay, continue to pedal. Okay.
Right. So what's happening is the insecurity of yearning for past times, which is a refusal to accept the present and all what's taking place. Acceptance is there again. The lack of. I'm lacking accepting where I am, what's happening to me, and what's happening in this environment. So I want to go back to the past. Okay, because I had this and I had that, and we had these powers and we had this. No, we didn't. What's happened is we've chosen this exact journey with precise meticulation. If we don't believe that we haven't chosen it with such precision, we're saying by extension there's a problem with the cosmos and the cosmic order. We can't on the one hand say there's order to the cosmos and then pick fault and say, oh, the cosmos made a mistake, I want to go back to the past. So, and I get this kind of journey to the present. That's what's happening. Humanity is moving to the present. It's coming from the past to the present. And it can't refuse to be in the present and wish to journey back to the past. So when we get into the present, it then becomes all-encompassing. The past and the future is here and now in the present. And once we've got the acceptance of the present, we then can accept the past and the future and go, okay, everything just is. We can change it. We're creative beings. We're transformers of cosmic energy. We are cosmic transformers. That's why we feed ourselves energies. We're feeding ourselves experiences. Why do we want the experiences? I deem that experience, if we use an example, to be a painful experience. Well, it's painful because you're tripping on a lower vibration of your emotional frequencies. When you get to the pure frequencies of the emotion, of energy emotion, that's not a painful experience. That's one of the best experiences I could have ever had. And what I did is I gathered energy from it and I put it in this pot and I put some more in with it, and that created my awakening, and that creates my awakening every single day because I'm transforming the energies from the experiences I'm gathering towards me. From that point, we're doing it in the present. And the magical aspect is when we need the past, we've got a clear mind to recall it in an instant. It will just come to us. We'll think it in an instant. We do it all the time. And that's why we say, oh, I forgot what I did 10 minutes ago. But 20 minutes ago, you remember it because it's there, present. And you go, well, okay, where's that just coming? That's supposed to be my past. And this is where we get into the perplexity of the past and the future being present, which is for another occasion for me. So what we're talking about here is accepting consciousness as a cosmic experience and being transformers in there with it. And we simply need to accept it. Nothing is a problem unless we perceive the problem. Now we can say what's happening in parts of the world right now as we're talking from comfort of our homes. Correctly, that is an issue. That needs to be dealt with. For some reason, we don't wish to perceive that. We don't want to see it. We don't want to feel it. That is our spontaneous compassion of the light of our soul coming to the fore, saying we wish for a better world. And in this process of spiritual awakening, we're materializing that better world. And at the same time, we're able to ignite the flames of deceit and deception around us in order to bring it all into light, so to speak. So, meanwhile, back to Kimberly.
More good things to think about with our potential. Absolutely. This is a last question we'll highlight, and then we will start to close, but Kimberly asks, can I ask you both, do you think a lot of awakened people understand that we are more than the material and programming we have all experienced from a young age? I don't think everyone who's, I guess, awakened knows that, because there's so many different areas to be awakened in. There's incredibly intelligent, compassionate, empathetic people that don't think about these things, and they're just like powerhouses with how they help people and heal and give good to the world and know where to go and what decisions to make, because they're just really in touch. So not everyone thinks about it, but for people who have touched this area about why are we all here, consciousness, where do we come from, who are we really, I do think it's something that comes up now so more commonly than not. If you're in the spectrum or area of why are we here, and am I a spiritual being, what is energy, I think you have to go back to basics, like really basics of like, what am I? I'm matter. Okay. And what am I? I'm thought. Where do those thoughts come from? What am I? I'm emotions. Where do they come from? And you get to questions and realizations like this. So it depends how they're awakened and what area. That's how I would say. How about you, Colin?
Yeah, I would totally. Yeah, I think it's a brilliant question, Kimberly, by the way. I totally agree with what you just said, Kelly. It's almost, we can say, it's all according to perception. Every awakening, what is an awakening? We can say an awakening is the expansion of the psyche. The psyche expands to a point where it starts questioning, or it has certain experiences outside of that, what is commonly known as 3D reality. It begins the questioning process. And of course, like a multitude of facets, each facet of a, if you like, cosmic crystal is revealing a truth, and each mind is facing, or it maybe we can liken each mind as a specific facet. So it's seeing reality through its own reflection, if that makes sense. So, and that's why we all perceive in truth differently. But it's not that those truths are incorrect. Everybody's truth is correct, because they're all part of that cosmic crystal. The most purest truth is the crystal itself. That's the way the cosmic truth lies. So if you've got 8 billion people on the planet, they're all looking through 8 billion different facets of that crystal as a whole. And yet, at the center point of the crystal, and the crystal as a whole, is where the purest truth lies. And we are trying to endeavor to find the purest facet of truth in each moment we exist. I think sometimes, brilliant question, Kimberly, I think regarding the material and the programming, I've seen, on a side note, I've seen spiritual minds making political comments and thought, that doesn't match that person's perceived awareness, spiritually speaking. And you can see me smiling, and I find it quite funny. And yet, I profoundly respect that person's opinion and truth, and they've got the right to it, because that's where that mind is. If my mind is seeing through one facet, and I accept that, then in minimum, spontaneously, I have to accept that everybody else is seeing through theirs, and it's correct for them. But I think the important word here, for some reason, it's been coming in all night, all the time we've been talking, Kelly. The important word here for all of us, I think, is the cosmos and a cosmic perception. Because it's needed now more than ever, especially with what we're seeing on the planet. If we've got a cosmic take on things, not an overview, it doesn't mean say, let's get elevated and get above it in an egotistical way. Absolutely no way. We've got to remain as humble as we possibly can. And yet have the clarity of the cosmos and the wisdom what comes with it in order to make sense of what's going on in the planet at the minute, including within ourselves. So we live in a cosmic reality. We just need to kind of embrace it and accept it. And that's where the magic happens.
The magic happens in the present moment. So, I mean, if you want the world to be better with whatever you come in contact with it, give it your all. That's what I have to say.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Kimberly, yes, we are now continually evolving. However, we do need to understand everyone. Yeah, Kimberly. Yeah, we've got it. We're missing each other.
Yeah.
That's why there's so much pain. We're missing each other. When the barriers of our own ignorance come down and we open our heart up fully or correctly or whichever, doesn't matter, just open our hearts up, we'll realize that we've always been together and walking alongside each other. And the minute that humanity is crying out because they're missing each other. Yeah. Been amazing, Kelly. Amazing.
Thank you, Colin. Beautiful discussion. Like it's been said before, you are always welcome, and we'll continue to go down the sacred spiral rabbit hole or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Or we'll get the expansion of.
It depends which way. It depends on the direction you want to go on the spiral. I think tonight we've managed to continue in an ascending fashion. If on another occasion, I'm always happy to go down into the densities of the rabbit hole.
I think both are needed. Exactly.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Yes, definitely. We are both. Beautiful show. Jennifer says, hello, Jennifer. Thank you so much. She says, much love to everybody. Absolutely.
Jennifer Rose, thank you so much. Absolutely.
We love Jennifer Rose. And we love Jennifer McCormick. It is really magical.
Jennifer Mack.
Separation is key. We try to separate concepts with our language so we can understand it. Heidi, gratitude to both. Thank you so much.
And to you, Heidi. Thank you so much.
And Jennifer McCormick, thank you, Kelly and Colin. Much love, everyone. Much love to you too. Kimberly, thank you. I want to give people love back. Thank you, everyone, for your kind words. Thank you. With that said, I guess would you like to say anything in closing, Colin?
Keep the light fantastic. Please, I suppose from spirit, more than anything, or from spirit. When we say from spirit, it's all cosmic beings now. It's like everywhere, from all of them there. Stay in your peace. Stay in your peace. Watch. Try not to get drawn into the distractions, the external distractions of what's going on in the world at the minute. It's not what is being presented to the public eye. This is part of a much deeper and more ascended event. So I know Spirit trying to warn people, get to the level, get to that cosmic perception. That's why they've been saying it tonight. Get to that frequency, cosmic perception, because then we can perceive the hidden layers, but in an ascended manner. More than what we can perceive the physical presentation, which is out there at the moment. It's so deep. And we've come here to do it, and we'll do it. The light, there's no way the light can not succeed in what it's come to do. So the light is going to do its job. And people, we can I think people can feel assured in that, rather than go into the worry and panic and fear. Try to stop your mind. Take grip of your mind. Just go, no, I'm not going there. I'm going to stay on the spiritual side and spiritual frequencies. And that way we're playing the role. That's not to say dismiss it or ignore it. Don't mean it that way. But protect your mind. And thank you deeply so much, Kelly. Amazing. And lovely to see everybody. Thank you so much. Very humbly, everybody joining us. Amazing.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you for being a part of the discussion, as well as thank you, Colin, for your beautiful words and guidance as we journey through thoughts, ideas, and epiphanies. With that said, please, everybody, go with love, luck, and light, and don't forget to live. We will see you on Friday for the Psychic Hour reading show and many other shows with Sacred Spiral in between. We will see you very soon.
Oh. We love you too, Jennifer. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.